Hello everyone and welcome to Watch Me Viz for Makeover Monday 2021 week 8. This week we're looking at protests against the limits that have put in place in Poland against abortion rights. So let's hop right to it. So the original visualization we're going to look at is by Hannah from the Data School. And so she created this simple map. Let me just go ahead and go to it on Tableau Public. She actually wrote a really good, the whole visualization is like a story, but we're focusing just on the mapping part of it. So where are the protests taking place? But I guess for some good background information, you can see that on October 22nd, the Constitutional Tribunal of Poland ruled abortion in the case of fetal malformations is unconstitutional. And abortions due to fetal malformations were about 98% of the legal abortions. So, so that means very few abortions were for reasons otherwise. Okay, so 3 months after the ruling, they published the ruling justification. And then a few hours later, it was published in the Journal of Law, officially coming into act. So what we're looking at here is pretty much this map at the bottom. So where are the protests taking place? So we can see that it looks like most of the protests are taking place in Europe, with some in North America and also some in Asia. There are 1,362 events across 591 locations, 106 days. This is good for being able to see the locations. The one thing I don't like about it is that I can't really, on this particular map here, I just see kind of this blob in the middle, so it's hard for me to get too precise with the geographic information. So the data we're looking at, if I scroll down a bit, you can see we have a record ID. You can think of that as the number of the almost like a unique identifier for each protest, the location of it, let's see, the date, time, and an event link if you're interested in it out on Facebook. So let's go ahead and look at this data in Tableau. So if I go ahead and look at it here, we can see Tableau brings in the date, time, the event link. All the information looks nice and neat. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and create points for each of the latitudes and longitudes. So I'm just going to call this my location, and I'm going to use the make point function, and I could just pass this latitude and longitude. So this just creates a geographic object, and if I double click on that, you can see the locations of, so very similar to Hannah's map, you can see all the locations, but we only have one mark in the view, and that's because we haven't put any detail onto the view. So if I put record ID onto detail, if you look at the bottom left of the screen, you can now see there's 1,358 marks in the view. Okay, so we also don't have any country information, which can be a bit confusing. So I think what I'm going to do for the purpose of my analysis is focus on just Poland. So to do that, though, I need information about Poland. So I could probably just lasso, the protests around Poland. But what I want to do is I'm going to bring in a spatial file that has each of the provinces in Poland and try to map each of these points onto each province. So the data for that comes from a GIS website, and they're called voivodeships, but basically they're the same thing as provinces. So I was able to download that data, but what I'm going to do now is I'm going to edit my data source, and I'm going to add a second data source as a spatial file. Okay, and I'm going to just go ahead and connect to this spatial file. I think that's the right one. And okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and go into the old join mode, or the regular kind of connection mode in Tableau, and I'm going to bring that spatial file into the view. And I now need to tell Tableau how to join the data. So first off, I need to create a point over here. So again, I need to do my make point, latitude and longitude. And then over here, I'm going to pick my geometry object. And what I want to do is I only want to keep the points that are on top of the geometry. So I'm going to choose intersects. So this is basically taking each dot, overlaying it on top of the map for Poland. And if the dots are inside of the Polish map, then it will keep them. So I can go ahead and close that and go to my sheet. And you should see this now filter down to just Poland. Okay, let's give it just a second. And then what I'm going to do next is I'm going to go ahead and hide any fields that I don't need in the view. So, okay, there we go. So you can see we just have Poland. I'm going to go ahead and hide. So I don't want the event link, so I'm going to get rid of that. And then inside of here, I can get rid of everything except for the name field, which is this one here. So I'm going to hide all of those. And I'm just going to rename that as the province, or maybe just, I don't know, name, whatever. And then I can get rid of the area, size, and length. So let me hide those. And now just for speed, I'm going to go ahead and now create an extract. Okay, and just save it there. Now this should help speed the visualization up. And we're also down to 1,160 marks. So there are around 200 or so outside of the UK. So Anastasia, can Tableau derive the country from the latitude and longitude without mapping to a spatial file? No, it cannot. Okay, so I'm going to reset the map. I'm just going to go ahead and clear it now. And if I bring in that geometry object, you can see we now have each of the provinces in Poland. And if I put the name onto the label shelf, we can see the names of each of those. Now, one thing I don't like is that the first letter isn't capitalized for each of these. So I'm just going to go ahead and create a calculated field. I'm going to call this province, and I'm going to make the whole thing uppercase. Just makes it simpler. Name, and OK. And then if I put that onto onto the text shelf, I can now see the names of each one. Now this is useful because if I put the count onto the color shelf, I can see where most of the protests take place. So there's been 160 protests in this province. I'm going to assume that Warsaw is there, and so on. Okay, so that's great. Can I rename this field? I cannot. All right, that's fine. So now this is my so this would be my protest map by province, which I like. I like that map. That's good. I'm also going to go ahead and duplicate that and turn it into just a simple bar chart. So that way I can see which provinces have the most. So it just helps me kind of quantify these two, so I can see that I don't even want to try to butcher the names, but DOLNO, so you can see down here that's the second highest. So same data, just as a bar chart instead of a map. So, okay, so now what I should be able to do is I hopefully can bring in a map layer. I mean, I've never tried this before, so I'm not quite sure what's going to happen. And on this second object, so that is, so here, I want these to be circles. Okay, and then this is going to be just a map. And on these circles, I need to go ahead and put each record ID onto detail. And I believe this is how it works. I should be able to just layer one on top of the other, almost like doing a dual axis kind of map. So let's give it a second here and see what happens. I could be completely wrong. Okay, well, this isn't going very well. Okay, so yeah, this doesn't look right because we can see, yeah, we only have one. Yeah, so that doesn't look right. So I'm going to go ahead and go back a couple steps and just get rid of the second object on the second layer. Okay, there we go. I'm not quite sure how those layers work, but what I was trying to do is if I duplicate my Ah, that's why, because the latitude and longitude aren't the same. Okay, that's fine. Okay, so we have that map. Some other things I could do with the map. So if at this time, instead of looking at the kind of the provinces, I'm going to look at it by location. So I'm going to put record ID onto detail. And maybe I'll get rid of the borders so they're not so ugly looking. And make them a bit bigger. Okay, something like that. Did they get bigger at all? Okay, they're not getting bigger. Okay. Oh, I need to change it to a circle map. That's why. There we go. Okay, and then maybe add a bit of transparency, and we can see a bit of where each of the protests has taken place. We can see some clustering. So I'm just going to call this one dots on a map. And let me duplicate that. But this time what I'm going to do is I'm going to change it to maybe a density map instead. And let me just increase the opacity. Okay. And if I change the color maybe to, I don't know, let's try some different colors. Yeah, so that looks pretty neat. So we can see most of the protests are over here, which is probably Warsaw. We can see these must be kind of major cities where we see these things. So and you can play around with the size on a density map as well. So the bigger I make it, you can see the kind of concentrations a bit better, however you kind of want it to look. So this would be my density map. Now, if I also want to take these dots, but I want to kind of generalize them a bit, like I almost want to do a bit of a grouping, I would do something. I'm going to do two different maps. I'm going to call this one a round map. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to call this one round lat. And I'm going to use the round function. I'm going to try to at least. And I'm going to round the latitude to 1 decimal. And I'm going to assign that the geographic role of latitude. Okay, I'm going to make it a dimension. And then duplicate it and make the copy a longitude. And then update the calculation to be a round lon. And I just need this to be longitude. Okay, so let me just double click on those two fields and I should get a nice little map of Poland, and you see everything's kind of in this nice neat grid. So I could try rounding them to 0 decimals. Let's see what that does. It's probably not going to be enough. Yeah, so there's not very many points on the map now, so that's not very useful. Okay, so let me go back. And we can do something like that, where they lay out in a nice neat grid, and then I could maybe put the number of protests on color. And we can see most of them are here, right in this part of town. Okay, or that part of the country, sorry. Okay, so that's one way we could do it. I'm going to take that off of color. Another way we could do it is with a hex map. So I'm going to call this a hex map. And the hex map gives us a bit more control than the rounding map does. So first thing I need to create is a parameter. So I'm going to call this my hex adjuster. I'm going to leave it as a float. And I'm going to create a calculated field. So this would be my hex x. And I want to use the hex bin x function, and I'm going to pass to it longitude. I'm going to multiply that times my adjuster, and then comma latitude times the adjuster. And then to get it back into a longitude field, I need to then divide it again by the adjuster. And I'm going to assign that one the geographic role of longitude, and then duplicate it and call this one hex y. And all I need to do is change the function to hex bin y. I don't need to swap around latitude and longitude here. So hex x, hex y, and then if I show the parameter, oh, did I change my longitude to geographic role, longitude, geographic role, latitude? Okay, that's weird. Okay, so why is that not giving me? Okay, let me start over. Okay, so what I'm going to do then is I'm going to make a point. So I'm going to call this my hex point, and then make point. And this has to be latitude first, which was my y, so hex y, comma hex x. And now if I double click on that, you'll see I get these dots kind of in Poland. So let me go ahead and remove the borders and change the size. And I don't think that I can, so how did I do this before? So that's not what I wanted to do. So the X should go in the columns, the Y should go in the rows. And we should get a, oh, maybe I just need to change it to a map. There we go. Nope. Okay, so what is going on here? I don't know why that's not giving me a map. This should be giving me a map. Okay, let me go back here. So longitude, latitude, yep. So I'm just going to rename these just to make it a bit easier. So hex lon, rename hex lat. Okay, maybe I have these backwards. It's geographic role. I've got them backwards. Longitude. Okay, yeah, now we're good. Okay, so you can see kind of the dots on a map here. So let me get rid of the border and make them a bit bigger. And what the, this need to be circles. What the adjuster does, it lets me just type in a number to determine how many dots I want to draw. So if I put like 100 in, for example, you can see I get a bit of a mess. That's way too many. So 50, maybe 20. I just keep playing around with it until I get a number that looks good. So 10, so you can see I'm getting, there we go. So 5 looks not too bad. What if we did 4? Yeah, I don't like that one as much. 3. You see they get gradually spaced out more, but because I used a floating point, I can, kind of gradually change the numbers to see, to change the layout. So if I do 7, 8, yes, now they're getting too close together for my liking. So I can leave it at 7 there. And if I put, again, that onto the count, you see most of them are here again, but it's just another way that you can create a different kind of map. So comparing that to the round map, if I change the size of these, let me go back and edit these to be 0 decimals again to try to make it similar to the, you see with the rounding function, this has to be an integer at the end. I'm pretty sure it does round. Yeah, it has to be an integer. So you see it's very difficult to get, I have much more flexibility as far as how many dots to draw with a hex map. Okay, so yeah, so let me switch that back. Which one looks the best? Okay, I think I like 5 the best. And basically what it's doing is it's taking the the dots that are on the map and the ones that are close together, it's kind of grouping them together. So think of it as like a grouping function. And again, if I put the count on there, we see something like that. I'm going to get rid of the borders and the halos. And, if I change my color, what color does Hannah use? I think Hannah's using red in hers. Okay, so let's make this maybe red, hit apply, and we get something like that. Okay, so yeah, that's all right. So that's our hex map. But now maybe we want to, so we've got the locations of the provinces, so that looks okay. Let me duplicate this sheet, and what I want to look at now is kind of over time, how many, so I'm going to drag that there because I want to look at over time for each province. So I'm going to right click and drag the date time field to the columns, and maybe I'll look at it at a weekly basis. So let's try continuous weeks, and you see there aren't very many. What if I just get rid of the province? Okay, so most of them were in October, which must have been yeah, when, let's see, when did she say it was? Where's the October 22nd? So most of the protests happened right after that, which isn't surprising. Okay, so that isn't going to look particularly good, probably. So let me, if I change this to month. Yeah, so a time series isn't really going to benefit me very much. Okay, that's fine. But what if we just look at it? What if we just look at it by month? Oh, let's see, by year, and then by month. Okay, and we can maybe just look at it as a bar chart. And we can see when most of the protests happened, so standard. Okay, so the number of protests is going down. If I want to do a running total like Hannah did, I'm going to right click and drag my date time field to the columns and pick continuous, and then just put the number of records here, make this a running total, and now we see the same kind of map that she, or same kind of line that she has here. Okay, so 1160 within Poland. Okay, so this is cumulative protests. And what else could we do? So we've got the maps, we've got the locations, we've got the dots. Let's see, which I don't like this one. It's just okay, it doesn't really do anything. The density map is kind of neat looking. I don't like the round map. The hex map isn't too bad. The problem with the density map is I need to have every mark in the view, which isn't very helpful. Okay, so we've got the map by the province, so that's the number of protests. So can I, let me just create a new calculated field. And I'm just going to put the value of 1 in there. And then you'll see it's not going to change anything. So I'm going to change the default color for my protest to be red. And hit apply. Okay. So the label would be center, center. Okay, so it's already centered. Okay. And then if I'm going to format this map, I'll get rid of the borders. And then I'm going to, on the map layers, I'm just going to wash them all out. So now I have just the map of Poland, and maybe on the borders I'll put maybe white borders or something like that around them. Okay, that doesn't look too bad. So we've got the number of protests. Okay. Now I'm not quite sure how to use map layers. What are these called again? If I drag something onto it, it's called a marks layer. So Tableau marks layer for maps. Just want to see if there's a quick way that we could build something in here. Okay. Okay, so drag a geographic field into the view. Notice the add a marks layer control becomes available at the top left corner. Drop the geographic field on the add a marks layer control. Okay, that's what I was trying to do. Okay. All right. Drag the neighborhood geometry field to the view. So that's the same thing as us having the, let me just duplicate this sheet. Okay. Drag the color. Okay, drag the building geometry field to the view. The add marks layer drop target displays in top left corner of the view. 2 layers. Okay, so let me try that again. So what I was trying to do was to put the location as a layer. Oh, well, it just worked that time. That's nice. Okay, but this one, I just want to have those as circles. Oh, see, that's the problem now. And if I put record ID onto detail, okay, so this shows us a bit of the, so if I make this a line, okay, that's fine. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take record ID off, and then I want to put the, let's see, I want to put the name onto detail. Okay, so now I have a dot in the middle of each one of these, and I could then put, maybe if I change this to text, maybe I put the name onto text. Let me go back to this shelf and get rid of, let me just move that to detail. And let me put, what did I call it, province onto name. And then I want to put the, maybe the number of protests onto text as well. All right, so halo none. So now I can maybe format this text to look a bit better. So and maybe I'll make this one nice and big. Okay. Okay, so that now tells us the number that are in each, the number of protests in each province. And I did see where disable, okay, I'm not worried about that. So it's add McCann map layers. All right. Okay, so we did a, so let's see. I want to see how he did this kind of bar chart on a map. Okay, Drillable, Super Bowl winner. Okay, this is just his blog. Okay, let's try this here. Okay, let's go to the workbook. Okay, that's right. Not going to worry about that. So I think this map is certainly better than this one, and it's probably better than the bar chart. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to color that one red, and I'm going to call this protests by province, or it's called something else. What's the word that's used? VOI, voivodeships. Voivodeship. Okay. Sue. Anestate. Okay, so yeah, there's lots of, yeah, if you just do some searching for, if you just include shapefile in your search, you usually find what you're looking for. No, you can only download one free. Okay, you can get use your shapefile. Okay, great. So we now have that. So I like that map, so I'm going to keep that. And the density around cumulative protests. So what I was hoping to do was to maybe put a line of the cumulative protests on each of these as well. So what I'd want to do, let's see if I can find it here on Atoms. Okay, so old maps, layers plus maps. Okay. Okay, I think I want to do, let me see what this one here is. Okay, zoomable. Okay, let's see what this one is. Yes, this is kind of what I was thinking is, you know, how do I create line charts on here as well? So maybe if I download the workbook, Okay. Because I'd like to see the cumulative inside of each of these as well, and then I think I might be done. Okay. Yeah, so let's see. Yeah, that's what. So if he says yes, what does this do? Okay, not quite sure what that does. Sorry, Tableau is just being slow to open. Come on. Okay, so let's go to slide sorter. Okay, so, so the line map, so it just puts it on as a line chart. Okay, so what if but how is that splitting it up? Dem line map. Okay. Make point latitude plus. I have any idea what that means. Dem votes divided by total votes. Okay, so that's the left-hand side. Longitude plus. Okay. So that gives me that GOP line map, y-axis. Right. So it looks like I need to. All right, so let's try something again here. So what I'd like to be able to do is if I put, let's see, so text, if I put location on here again, and let's make it a line this time. And I want to have it by date time. I have no idea if this is going to work. I've never tried it before. Okay, and put that onto path. Okay, so that's breaking it up by each. Okay, so I need to put name onto detail. Okay. All right, so what is he doing here? Just trying to figure out what he's doing here for the map. So GOP line. Okay, so GOP line map, what does this do? So this is saying take the latitude and then add to it GOP votes divided by. Okay, not quite sure what this is going to do, but I'm going to give it a go anyway. So let's create a new calculated field and let's call this our line map. So this would be our make point would be our latitude, and then this would be our longitude. Okay, plus year minus 2010. What does the divide do? Divided by 1. Okay, so that's not doing anything. Okay. Okay. I don't see what difference this is going to make, but let's give it a shot anyway. So let's put that here. All right, and so what is the path is on year? Oh, I see. So, okay, so we need to look at, so days since first protest. So for each name, so for each province, we want to get the min date time. It's going to give us the first date for each province, and then we want to look at the, so the days since would be the date diff. And let's say at the day level, the start date is going to be that minimum date, and then the end date is going to be our date time. Okay, so that's going to give us the number of days since the first protest. So that's going to be the same thing as the year field. Okay, so let's make that continuous. Put that on the year. Okay, and then I think what I need to do then is go into my line map. And let's see, he had, where's that field? Gop line map, it's fine. So year minus 2010 divided by 40. Okay, year plus days since first purchase. I'm not really sure what I'm going to end up with here. Divided by, I'm not sure why it's divided by 40. Okay. Well, that's not working very well, is it? If I do days since first protest on here, and where's your, no, this should be a sum, and then, no, that's wrong. Days since first protest should be here. And then I want to put the name province onto detail. Yeah, so now we're getting one. So what I ideally wanted to see was one of these lines for each of the provinces, but I'm not quite sure how to get that onto the map. So if I look back over in Adams, so it's taken the year. So the year is, yeah, that's fine. Not quite sure where the divided by 40 comes from. Is that because there's 40 marks? So let's see how many there are here. 4. So there's 6 marks a point. So, okay. And then the GOP dim line map is probably y-axis line map. That's just the so this is that straight line going across. So they must have figured out this math somehow, but I'm not quite sure how. The dim line map, so it's got the dim line map. Yeah, I'm not quite sure how that's going to work. Okay, well, I'm just not going to bother. Okay. So that doesn't work. So let me, how do I get rid of it? I want to remove. And is that right? So location, what's this one doing? Okay, yeah, 1 is the, all right, so I think that's okay. That just is a bit of a bummer because I would really like to lay those out on the map as well. So I'll have to figure that out at some point about how he did that. Let's see if we can find another example. Okay. Hopefully this is helpful. I'm not sure if I'm kind of getting you lost here or not. Okay, let's see. Okay, beyond dual axis, it's fine. Okay, so we have to identify your measure, normalize the values as each to calculate. Turn off the map layers. Choose your mark type, format. Okay, fine. We're going to use Simple Superstore. We're going to plot sales for 2020 by month. Okay, let's see. Normalize your values. Normalize negative and positive values. This will place the lowest value at 0 and the highest value at 1. So for all your possible values, for all your positive values, okay. Okay, that's fine. Use make point. 2020 sales by month. Date part, month, order date. Okay. Add layers. Okay, I'm not quite sure. That's what I'm looking for because that's not putting anything on a map. Okay, creating, let's see, I'm going to try one more and see. I'm just trying to find a simple example here. Okay, top in, how to read. Well, I'm going to have to figure this out at some point. I think for now, let me just get rid of that. What I'm going to do is, if I include these in the tooltip, so when you hover over one of these objects in the tooltip, I'm going to include, so province, and then I'm going to insert the sheet, what is it called? Cumulative protests. And I want to filter by the field province. Okay. And then I want to, so I want that to be maybe 400 by 300. Let's see what that looks like. Okay. So let's call this. Okay, so this is cumulative protests. Okay, and this is, I think I'm going to make this back to my date time field. And I'm going to do it at the day level. Okay. So this would be the, just get rid of the title here. All right, and then I'm going to, so protests per province. So fixed on province. We want to get the sum of protests. And I'm just going to use this on color. That way I get one color for each line. Default properties color. Red. There we go. So each color, this top province has 160 protests over time, so the color is 160 the whole way across. So now let me format this view. I'm going to get rid of my grid lines, get rid of my 0 lines. Let's change the view to be 8 point, maybe 7. And let's see what that looks like now. Okay, so it's a bit, I think it's a bit big. So tooltip. So let's make it maybe 300 by 200. Okay, I think that looks pretty good. So 68 protests. I'm going to maybe add the mark label on the end of the line, so max. But the field I want to put on the protest is the protest per province on the label. Let's make the label match the mark color, maybe make it 9 point. Okay, so 33, 120. Okay, so the color isn't changing. So I need to go back to this, get rid of that. And then I'm going to just fix the advanced, I'm just going to fix the start and the end. Okay, there we go. So tooltip, go to the okay, so now whether you hover over that or you hover over that mark, you'll see the same line. Okay, 17, that's fine, 40 protests. Okay, now I think the text is a bit small, so I need to format this again. Maybe set it back to 8 point, but I'll make it Tableau light. Okay, wow, that looks really terrible, doesn't it? You see the text is really cut off. Let me just clear. Try it again. Yeah, it doesn't look particularly good. So the title, let's make that 8 point, and Tableau book. And yeah, so let's see what that looks like now. Yeah, I don't know why. The font looks absolutely horrendous, but oh well. I'm also going to now fix this axis. So let's pin that, and let's pin that, yeah. So now the height will, see how that one's down at 120, this one will go up to 160, this one will stay nice and low, things like that. Okay, so ideally what I wanted to do is I wanted to put a line chart. This line chart I would ideally like to have underneath of each of these numbers, but I can't really get that. So yeah, I don't quite know what to do from there without doing a lot more research. I don't have enough experience with that yet. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to maybe I wonder if I can do one more layer on this possibly that has the let's see, so if I put the location on again, and that's the location of all 68 protests, but can I move these layers? Okay, there we go. So that's on top of that. And if I put record ID onto detail, okay, so tooltip, that's fine. So, oh, don't want to do that. So, cancel, reset. Okay. Okay, so on this one, I want to have the date. So the date, let's see, the day, and I want to have maybe the province. Let's make these circles. Okay, so now we can have, and then record ID could not be in there. Okay, maybe get rid of province. Don't need that. Okay, so that's not too bad. Let me make that a bit more transparent. Maybe I'd change the colors here then to something red. But that doesn't work. In this, I maybe put white borders on them. Let's try that. Okay, that doesn't work either. That's pretty terrible. What if I make this my density map? And then let's change the color. Let's increase the intensity. And then okay. And then I could maybe change the border to none. Halo to none. And now if I change my color palette to, what if I do something like that? Nope. Wonder if I have a red palette here. Clear it. Nope. Makeover Monday. Nope. Okay, let's try that one. So let's do the size. Let's drag that down a bit. Okay, I don't love that one. Is there a way to use just so gray red is what I'm using now. Multicolor, so that's red dark. But now I can't see the font of the other ones. Yeah, I can't see that border white. Nope. It always takes forever to pick out the colors. So it's not too awful. At least I can see the numbers now. Let's see. Are there Polish national flag colors? Okay, so it's flag of Poland. Oh, that's not what I want. Let's go back here. Looks like I could get the hex codes here. Okay, so the red is... Okay, so maybe what I'll do, I'm going to go ahead and save this as, let's see, we want to do Makeover Monday 2021, week 8. What's the topic here? It's, what can I call it? Okay, save. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these colors. Come on. Let's see. So I'm going to close Tableau. And these colors that we have for the, so let me find this document, my Tableau repository, and then preferences. So I'm going to add in, so I could do an ordered sequential for Polish flag, and it's going to go from the all F's to that. And then if I want to do just the regular, let's see, I don't even need to do that, I could just change this. Polish, they both have to have different names, so this would be type as regular. Okay, I'm just adding things into my color palette. Save. And now if I open Tableau up, I'll have those colors available to me when I come on. That'd be good. Let me know. Has this been useful so far? I'm curious to know what you think about kind of the process I'm going through here. It's been I'm just trying to get some. I like the idea of using this on a map, but these colors have really had me in a bit of a pickle here. So now that I know, see, I don't want that. So I should have my Polish flag now. Okay, so that shows me where the protests are. Do I want to? Yes, I want it like that. Okay, let's see. So size, let me just drag those down a bit. Okay, so so I cannot find intersect while matching geometry to make point make point in two sheets. Yes, so what you have to do in the data source is hang on 1 second, somebody's at the door. Sorry, delivery man at the door. So to answer your question, what I had to do was go into, when I look at my join, I had to go into the sheet, and I had to choose the edit join. I had to choose join calculation and write the make point in there directly in the calculation. So hopefully that helps you, Vaibhav. I'm sorry, I'm not quite sure how to pronounce your name, but that's how I got it to come up. Okay, so let me go back here so we can see kind of where the protests are taking place. Oh, why is it doing that? But I'm not sure I love the density map. But the circles don't really help either. What if I just make them white? Or gray or something. Yeah, I don't like that because then, okay, maybe I'll go with that. And then for the geometry, if I choose Polish flag colors and apply, and then maybe I'll change the border now to be something like that. But now the problem is I can't see the lighter colors, so advanced, when I started at 0, let's see what happens. Okay, so back again here, so color, Polish flag. Yeah, the problem now is I can't see the clusters well enough. Shoot. I think this is certainly better, but maybe I have another palette I can use. Red, maybe I'll just stick with it and quit fussing over it. Maybe the Phillies, that's going to be the same issue though, I think. Yeah, so I kind of like these colors, but I can't see the outlines, or I can't see the yeah, I can't see like the concentrations of the ones that are in the, you know, on the lesser end of the spectrum. So where there's only a few protests, it's hard for me to see where the colors are. So if I hit apply, okay, maybe if I choose a bluish color, where was that? Oh, that's the wrong one. So let me undo. But maybe if I choose on my locations, what if I choose something blue here instead? Let's see, I'm still getting, I could reverse the colors like that. Oh, maybe that's what I should do. So let me try one more thing. Open recent. Oh. If I try, oh shit, didn't mean to do that. It's going to bring up another copy of Tableau, which I didn't want it to do. So ordered sequential. Okay, so I'm just going to copy this, and I'm going to call it. Okay, that's fine. Close. What happened there? Okay, and I'm just going to swap these colors around. Polish flag reversed. Let's call this red light. Okay, so now if I close Tableau again, let me save and then close this. So let's close Tableau. So you can only add marks layers if you are on version 20.4 or newer. So Karen, if you, that might be the problem. Okay, so let's open Tableau back up. Okay, need to finish up here. I've got a meeting I need to get to. I think I'm close. I have the view I'm looking for. I just need to find the right colors to get happy with it. You cannot. Ah, shoot. Close this. I must have messed up something. What did I mess up here? Oh, shoot. Oh gosh, what did I do here? Color palette name. Oh. Type equals. Okay, so that's fine. Polish flag colors, Polish flag red, white. And Polish flag. Let's call this one. So it's, this one goes white, red. Okay, let me try that. Okay. Okay, so all right, so what color am I using here? So this would be, so I should be able to go to my Polish flag, white to red, hit apply. That should be pretty similar to that. Okay, so that's good. And then on my locations, the color I want to use here is the Polish flag red to white. Let's see, dang it, that didn't help. All that wasted time. White to red. Okay, so that leaves me in the same, crap. All right, I need to just pick something here and be done with it. Blue teal, just blue. purples. Nope. I need to have something that starts a bit darker. Yeah, I don't like that. Problem is it's hard to reverse the colors. So I need something that goes white. So maybe if I go reversed. Oh, those colors are terrible. Okay, that's not too bad. Okay, maybe something like that. I'm just going to call it done. Okay, so finishing touches now. Let me go ahead and turn on my caption and the data source, which I updated here. So Tableau Light, Tableau Book, and 8. Okay. I don't know if these are going to be hyperlinks or not. Let me see. Okay. Oh, that's pretty cool. Nope, that doesn't work. So the links don't work. So let me go back in here and I want to get rid of the so HANYKOWSKA, and then this one needs to be STRAJKKOBIET. Okay. So very grateful to them for taking the time to get this data ready for us. All right, so, and then in my title, I'm probably going to copy this and make this part of the footer, or sorry, part of the subtitle. And then I liked what Hannah had in hers. Let's see. Okay. There we go. Oh, what the heck? I think I'll just leave it like that. Okay, so let me stick this in a dashboard. I think it'll probably look nice if it's square. So which one is it here? This one. So I'm going to, oops. Need to show the caption. Okay. I think I'll call that done. Yeah, so again, maybe one thing I could do, I think I want the numbers slightly, ever so slightly bigger here for these protests. Let me make this like 26. Let's see what that looks like now. That's too big. Okay, I'll just leave it, it's fine. So let's call this. All right, so I think that's it. Any last questions before I hop off? I hope you found that useful. Using, let's see, I used 3 map layers here. Didn't quite get the one working that I had hoped I would, but that's okay. Mostly, I bet you I spent 3/4 of the time here just on formatting. Maybe if I make that 8 point, that'll give me a bit more room as well. And then 24 point. Okay, let's try that. So yeah, thanks again for tuning in. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them, and they should show up, or leave a question as a comment. But otherwise, hope you found it useful. Have a wonderful day.